So I'll call to order the September 1st meeting of the Wilton Town Board, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Supervisor Johnson?
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Stryker?
Here.
Councilwoman Flickitar? Here. Councilman Lynn? Here. Councilman McCaffrey?
Here. Okay, this is the time of the meeting for public comment. Kirk, is there anybody down there that's signed up?
Nobody on it.
Okay. Moving on, we have a reappointment to the Board of Assessment Review. Mel Abadandalo. He's been chairman for several years and served on the committee for a long time. His appointment is up October 1st, and I'm assuming you've reached out to him and he wants to be reappointed.
Make a motion, we reappoint him.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. With us tonight, we have Maria Travka from Saratoga Plan, Executive Director, and with her is longtime Wilton resident, Donald Tooker. And Maria wants to address, I'll go back to that. Sorry, I missed to approve the minutes. But anyway, Saratoga, Mr. Tooker is looking to donate a conservation easement to Saratoga Plan for his property at the intersection of Route 50 and Jones Road. Maria, you want to tell us what it's about?
You want us to come to the microphone?
Yes, please.
We bring to you.
Is this working?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so I'm Maria Trabka, I'm the director at Saratoga Plan. It's a land conservation organization helping landowners and municipalities throughout Saratoga County to accomplish their conservation goals. And so Mr. Tooker came to us and asked if he would like to keep his farmland forever farmland, asked if we would take a conservation easement on that land. And so we're here tonight to ask for the town's support for the project and also for a county grant application that we have submitted to the county for funding for the land preservation program. That funding would help us cover some of the transactional costs, because even though he's donating the conservation easement to Saratoga Plan, we still have all the costs associated with legal, survey, title insurance, all those kinds of transactional costs. And so we submitted a county grant for that. It does require a local municipal endorsement of the project, and we've also asked the town if you might consider helping us to fund the project as well, because the county grant won't cover all of the costs.
You got all the information there. I don't know if there's anything I can add to it here, but it's my idea of keeping that into agricultural land rather than have it all built up to houses, because someday there's going to be a shortage of food. And I think there's going to be a little bit need of these little farms to raise food and stuff on, because the increase in population and everything is certainly makes a lot of difference. The amount of food. In some places there's food shortages right now. So I'd rather see it stay as agricultural land and be productive. And I don't have any children to pass it down to, so I'm going to use this for keep it in the agricultural situation. Okay.
Hey, Maria, I thought, we talked about, and with Ryan, about potential future road intersection improvements that involves some of the land of Mr. Tooker. Have you spoken to Mr. Tooker about that?
Yes, so we talked about the fact that the town with Old Gick Road and Jones Road and 50 might need someday to widen a road, maybe put in a roundabout, maybe align those two roads, just to simplify the traffic situation right in that congested area. And so Mr. Tooker has seen, a conceptual idea of what the town might someday want to do. And we talked about the fact that in the easement, we could allow for that as right, that the landowner, that there would be no restrictions for that kind of a thing.
Okay.
That'd be good.
Okay. I know you applied for the county grant, and I know that there was a deadline of September 1st, so I did give you a letter of support to submit with the application, and you're looking for tonight a town board resolution also supporting that application.
Correct.
Yeah. The resolution you do have before you, supporting that, if you go to the last page, it doesn't give a definitive financial contribution by the town, but it does say that we will consider doing that. And I'd like to make that part of our 2017 budget when we talk about that.
It's going to cost us.
Pardon?
What's it going to cost us?
Well, that's up for discussion. They had requested $25,000, but...
From us?
Huh?
From the town?
From the town, so...
Well worth it.
But I think it's worth a discussion to have. They don't need the funding till 2017, so I'd like to make it part of the 2017 budget under our open space program. So the resolution is just to support the county grant application, and it does say in there the town is willing to consider funding for the project as well, without a definite commitment at this point in time, since we've never had really a discussion on it.
First thing, I'd like to thank you very much for doing this. I agree with you 100%. And I'll make a motion that we follow with the resolution for the Tucker Farm project.
Second it.
Is there a second? Any discussion? I also would just like to say to Mr. Tooker, it's a very generous donation. It's very valuable land that I'm sure you've been approached to sell to developers over a long period of time. So it's great that you have that feeling about keeping it agriculture and keep it undeveloped. So I applaud you for that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Mr. Tooker.
Thank you, Mr. Tooker.
Thank you.
I'll go back to approve the minutes from our August meeting. Is a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion. Approve.
A motion?
Second.
Second? Motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any requested changes or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Committee reports? Does anybody have any committee reports?
I have a report. Jeff Reel put together a really nice letter to go out to our members of our senior citizen group here, and I received back 37 responses to it, and part of it was to find out if the seniors felt like they would benefit from having a part-time director. And overwhelmingly, they do, and they want Robin Corrigan, who's the acting president, to be that person.
As the part-time?
As the part-time director. So maybe we can talk about that at budget time. But of the 37 that responded, I had 35 that
Wow.
yeah. Or several put no, we like things just the way they are. So some of them took that as, But anyway, I was very pleased with that. She's got a lot of new ideas. She's taking the seniors over swimming in a couple of weeks over at Exit 16, the Glens Falls Rehabilitation, whatever. And she's just coming up, she's setting up the bingo room as a movie. You know, she's going to get some darkening shades, and it's going to be like showing old movies. Some new ideas for the center, and
That's good.
things are going very well,
Good.
from what I can see.
That's good to hear.
Thank you for your help on that, Joanne.
Oh, yeah, it was my pleasure.
Anyone else?
Yep, Kurt wants to have the floor. He's got some, he wants to talk about some issues we had with the employee handbook. I told him I'd give him
I got something
I'd give him the floor.
Yep.
I'd sit down with Kirk and his three foremen, and they brought to our attention that maybe some of our wording is wrong. All right, so maybe myself, Sue, Nancy, and Jeff can sit down next week and maybe just minor things
In the handbook.
in the handbook.
Fire extinguishers, response to fires and other.
Just minor stuff. I talked to you about getting them training.
Yeah. You brought that to Nancy's attention. She's working on that. She's talking about fire extinguisher training over in the park as
For
part
town
of the,
employees.
as part of the personnel policy, so that is in the works. And this is something different now?
I'm going to give Kurt an opportunity to discuss what he needs to about the...
I've sat down with everybody individually, not individually with Art, Joanne, sit down with John and John. I've had telephone conversation with Steve Stryker. There was an issue in the highway department with our foreman using our vehicles and taking them home. There is a separation between town board and a highway superintendent's position under New York state law. First of all, I'm not an attorney. We do have our counsel here. I have talked to some legal counsel at the Association of Towns in New York State. I am a member of the New York State Highway Superintendent's Association, and the legal counsel is for us to be available to talk to in highway law, and I did make some copies. It's 3 sentences. It's very, very short.
I'm sorry, Kurt. Can we have an executive session after this on this matter?
It's not a
It's
personnel
about other
matter.
things.
It is, well, I don't think I've got enough copies. I don't know, maybe.
This is other issues that I have to
We'll
discuss
share.
with Mark.
You can have it.
Check with him
At the end of the
before.
day, you can
John,
have it.
one for you, one for
There's only certain ways you can.
I
Thanks,
did.
Tom.
Joanne. There's one left.
And the personnel policy is not.
I think I
Can
can,
you do it?
yeah, would you please?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's some concern about my foreman taking her pickup trucks at home for emergencies, and it was designed many years ago. I'm the superintendent. I cover the west side. Frankie Older covers the north end. Richmond King covers the east side. Mike Monroe covers the south side of the town for emergencies. We have this town covered 24/7 for emergencies that we need. And it's worked and worked very, very well. I heard some conversation about instant abuse, or it's costing a lot of money. I don't believe these guys are much over 3.5 miles from their home. They carry the equipment in their vehicles to handle a situation, emergencies, and we have a pile of them all the time, winter and summer. It doesn't matter anymore with the traffic and the influx of people that's in this town. One of the big issues that I have been in my career here, 29 years, is the safety, the reliability for the residents in this community. We respond when we have to respond to whatever we have to respond to. I also want to say there isn't a project that my department hasn't assisted in this town, and I can go back many of them. Helipad, Wilton Firehouse, Emergency Squad, all kinds of stuff, Gavin Park with the splash park, all kinds of stuff. I'm just bringing up some issues that my department has been responsible for because it was requested from this town board. So at some point in time, we are lacking communication big time in this town. Nobody seems to be communicating with anybody. And some of the issues I'm being left out on that pertains to my department, and I am an elected highway superintendent, period. But anyway, if you've had a chance to read that, that is the law. I don't know if he's had an opportunity to do that, but I had conversation with legal counsel at the Association of Towns. And there has to be a separation between town boards and highway superintendents. The policies that the town board might put in place for general fund does not necessarily apply to the highway department. And I have suggested from periodically over the years that, you know, maybe somebody should sit down and communicate and have some issues on that. So I'm just waiting to see if this board has made a decision about what we had discussed. We discussed it last week with two of them and two of them whenever before, you know, wherever our dates were. I don't remember the dates, but I don't know if you folks have made that decision.
I just got a couple questions on it. How many times does the foreman go out and take a tree out of the road?
You're asking me about
Can one of
taking
your
trees
foremen
out of the road?
One of your foremen are here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let me say something, not to interrupt you. Our town controller has charge of payroll. He has all the payroll records. They're certified in my office, I mark them off.
That's not
So
my-
if you're asking me questions
That's not my
about
question. I just wanna-
payroll and the times that it was done, then you've got to go to his records, and it will be declared in his records of how many times those guys, I can't even tell you how many.
How many times has a foreman gone out and removed a tree from the side of the road?
Many
In the middle of the night?
Many times,
By himself?
many times.
Then that's what I call unsafe.
Last storm, when we got that thunderstorm.
So if he's, what I'm trying to get at is, if you got a foreman showing up to a tree across the road,
He protects the scene, is what he does.
then he calls in a
Yes,
crew?
absolutely.
Or does he call in another foreman?
He can call in whoever he chooses to call in when he's on site, to make that place safe and to make sure we...
But I was told that they're doing their own cleanup with one pickup, one guy, removing a tree, unprotected against traffic.
This is another situation that I'm glad I've got the floor to talk about. There is so much conversation going around in this town about different issues that nobody's paying attention to them. And let me say something, there is a pile of lies out there, period. I know they are, because I'm in charge of the highway department. So am I going to address a bunch of lies with the town board members? No, I'm not. I don't think it's fair to you, and I don't think it's fair to me to give you information that I know is fictitious, that should have never been out into the public to start with. There are people in this town, and every single one of you people know it. You know what I'm talking about. But nobody has done anything about it, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to do anything about it. So I had Plan B together because I haven't had success with Plan A. I haven't heard anybody, no communication at all. What do you want from the highway superintendent doing his job for the period of time I've been here? You've asked me numerous times to do numerous things, and I've cooperated 1,000%. So here I am in a situation that I have to spend a lot of valuable time, my time, to try to solve some issues that we should have had conversation on many, many times. This is the only thing I'm trying to bring up. As far as issues, days, Mr. Land had mentioned, give me numbers. What numbers am I supposed to put together for these situations?
Well, you're the foreman, you're the superintendent, I would think it ain't up to Jeff, it'd be up to you. I asked you for a year or 3 years, nobody could answer me in that room. And I know 99% of these emergencies in this town, there's 2 fire departments, they get activated first. All that storm 2 weeks ago, the fire departments got activated first.
They did, okay? You want to bring that up? Then I'll bring that up. There was an incident on Route 9.
I asked you for this meeting to come up with the numbers.
There was no people available at the firehouse on Route 9 to solve that problem. It's a state highway.
I was told on that incident, the state requested the town of Wilton.
Yes, they
You
did.
volunteered and said that you would handle it. When you got on the scene, then there was complaints about what you had to do for the fire department.
No,
If you didn't want to do it, all you had to do was, when the state contacted you, said, our town is too busy, we can't do it. You need
John,
to
you
do it.
brought up a good issue. You had somebody tell you that I was complaining about...
I got a call from the Wilton chief.
Doesn't matter who you got a call from.
And he was in Maine.
I didn't even talk to the Wilton chief.
I know.
I talked to Wilton chief, I called him, he was in Maine, and I called the deputy chief, and the deputy chief and I tried to solve the problem, and we did solve the
I
problem.
don't want to get into a screaming match with what you do and how you do it in this town.
Well, I'm just trying to
There's
say-
a couple, been a few things I've come to you about. I asked you how much it costs to pave a mile of road. I couldn't get that answer.
You
Can we
can't
get back to the
answer.
issue here and what...
You can't get a definite answer on a mile of road because every single mile of road might be a different factor. Our engineer will tell you the same thing. If you put down an inch of blacktop and you put down 3 inches of binder, they're different numbers. How am I supposed to tell you exactly what's going to happen on the methodology of the highway department? All I can do is to solve the problem and educate you people as far as what my job is concerned.
right.
Am I right or
An issue
wrong?
with this,
That's
or-
all I can do.
Listen,
A legal issue, do we have?
the purpose of this was to talk about the
All right,
foreman
turned
taking
into
vehicles
something
home. It's
entirely
going way beyond that, so let's cut it off here and deal with the issue at hand, if there is an issue, and I
I
don't know if
have
there is.
legal counsel from the Association of Towns, Mr. Shackner, okay, counsel, I'll say, and I have to go by the legal counsel of the Association of Towns of the State of New York with 2 of the legal counsels that I've had the information from. I don't know if you could determine from this if I'm on the right path or not, and I can't answer that. But all I want to do is just make sure that I have done my job and covered it for the safety, welfare, and of everybody that's been involved in this town or any of the residents that are driving on these roads. That's all I want to make sure of. That's what I'm responsible for. We haven't had a situation like this in the town for my whole career. Now, all of a sudden, things are starting to bubble up and boil over, and I guess I got to do what I have to do as an elected highway superintendent. That's what I have to do.
Okay, Kirk.
I'd like to know if Kirk actually has to follow the rules of our town board, or being a superintendent of highways.
Who
can he
owns the
follow-
trucks?
That's it.
That's what the
Does
guy's saying.
the highway department own the trucks, or does the town board own the trucks?
Taxpayers own the trucks, not us.
Right,
Not
that's what I'm
Kirk,
saying,
the
but who's in
taxpayers.
charge of those?
You're talking about who owns the truck, and I'm going to let the council answer that question, but I just want to say something ahead of time. You can say what you want about residents owning their trucks, and you probably are 100% right, I don't know for sure. All I do know, one thing for sure is, there is a separation between town boards and highway superintendents, and this is not a test case at all. This is New York state law that's been in effect for many, many years, and these are the education things that we get when we go to Cornell. People think that I'm on vacation out there. No, I'm not. I pay attention to what's happening. Mr. Shackner, could you answer the question that Mr. that John had asked?
I don't believe so, because I have the faintest idea what the question is.
We put in the handbook that we want 1 truck to 1 foreman going home. There, right now, as
Senior
it stands,
foreman.
there's three foremen, 3 trucks going home. Kirk's requesting that be lifted, and that he's, by law, we have to let the 3 trucks go home with the 3 foremen.
Well,
That's a question?
That's,
So basically,
Pretty much.
through the superintendent having authorization over those trucks, not the town board.
right, the general proposition under state law, which does supersede any local policy, is that the highway superintendent has control over the highway department equipment. The separation that the highway superintendent is referring to between town board and highway department exists on some issues, but not on all issues, to the extent that if, I'm not sure if I'm reading what you're saying correctly, Kirk, it sounds like you're thinking there's a complete separation on all issues. That under state law is not true, and the best example of how that's not true is actually Highway Law Section 142 Subdivision A, which is right above the section that the highway superintendent has distributed, which talks about purchasing equipment, and when the highway department wants to, and the highway superintendent wants to purchase equipment, it has the magic words, "with the approval of the town board." So there's an example of a very, very important function where there is not the separation that you're speaking of. In fact, it's a mutual approval required by highway department, highway superintendent, and town board. That's for purchase of equipment. But the general proposition of state law, as far as use of the equipment, is the highway superintendent does have control over use of the equipment.
So it needs to be removed from the handbook.
I haven't the faintest idea what's in the handbook,
The
but
handbook is the
Kirk
use
doesn't
of
have
the...
to
it's the town personnel
Yes.
policy that we just amended. It changed from 3 foremen taking vehicles home for response purposes, not for personal use in any way.
Emergencies.
And the change was that was to go to, on an alternate basis, correct me, John, because you were chair of this committee, is one foreman with a vehicle on call, and it alternates.
If they want to, I think the senior foreman should be the only one taking that. You know, I was elected to watch over taxpayers' money. I believe it's a waste of taxpayers' money. What Jeff controls is not mine, it's not anybody, it's the residents. And I'm a pretty frugal guy, I think it's a waste of money. Like I say, most emergencies, 99% of them, you got 2 fire departments, they get called. I've been a fireman for 43 years. And the best thing to do, like the next 6 months, keep track of it. Bring it back, we'll look at it again. That's your job or your foreman to keep track, not Jeff's.
As a superintendent of highways, I'm going to go with the advice of our town attorney, what he just said. I'm going to go with the advice from 2 attorneys in the Association of Towns, and it probably, at this point in time, I guess probably I'm going to run my department according to what the state law is, and that's what I'm going to follow. And the state law says specifically, all tools, implements, and other highway equipment owned either by the town or the highway districts therein shall, it doesn't say should, it says shall. And I learned the 2 different words in that when I was in federal court for a situation here in the town. Shall and should are 2 different words, okay? It says shall be used by the town superintendent in such manner and in such places, in such towns as he shall deem best. They shall be under the control of the superintendent and be cared for by him at the expense of the town. That's what that law says. And that law was written by New York State, and that can't be changed by this town board. Period. Can't be changed. So requiring me and you folks writing a policy that I have to follow does not follow state law. Period. Doesn't follow state law. That's what the Association of Towns attorneys told me. And I just talked to him today. I apologize, first of all, to the residents who are here. I apologize to this town board, and I certainly thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it. This job comes from my heart, literally. But the whole situation is, we gotta have that situation to handle our department. And you can say what you want about the fire departments. I love the volunteers, and we don't have enough of them, period. We need more of them. And the fire departments do respond. But here's information that he was given that's a total lie, because I called the chief in Maine, and I talked to the deputy chief, and him and I coordinated that whole situation. That's just one issue that just happened recently. So don't say that, he might have somebody come and tell him that. That's what I'm trying to explain to this board. That's where we are getting astray of what we should be doing.
All right, let's not burden the people with this conversation any further. Mark, is this something you need to research? I mean, are we wrong in changing the policy about the foreman's use of vehicles?
You could lawfully restrict or prohibit personal use, but you can't lawfully tell the town highway superintendent how, when, where the equipment owned by the town can be utilized for highway purposes.
Kirk, enough, okay?
One more issue.
Personal use.
A few years ago, we had a councilman sitting on his town board taking equipment out of the highway garage on Saturdays, period, and driving down the road and using that equipment without my knowledge. That's why these laws are put into place the way they're supposed to be. The superintendent's supposed to know what's going on. I hope I do, but sometimes I miss some too. I'm sorry for that.
So, where do we go from here?
I haven't seen the personnel the policy or the manual, but from what you all are telling me, my advice would be to not restrict the highway superintendent's ability to utilize the equipment for work purposes. What I said a few minutes ago, I'm sticking by, which is if you want to curtail personal use, I think that you could lawfully do, because I think that personal use comes out of the structure of the New York State highway law.
Is it
I'm not hearing
personal when they bring it home, when there's no emergency for 6 months? We're waiting for an emergency, that's what they're being brought home for.
I think at this point, I think I'd rather set, this was just dumped on Mark. I think I'd like Mark to research this and look at our personnel policy and report back to us,
That's
okay,
fine.
what your recommendation would be, okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you for listening to me.
Okay, controllers report, Jeff?
Okay, the first items are the budget amendments and transfers that required town board approval. Any questions?
So we have a few amendments, few transfers, nothing significant. Any questions for Jeff on the transfers or amendments? Someone like to move to approve them?
That's okay.
Make a motion, approve them.
Second it.
A motion and a second discussion on the amendments or transfers. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? So moved.
Okay, next item are the personnel items. And the first two are really more informational as they've already happened. Ray Holden has submitted his resignation from the highway position at MEO effective August 8th. Town board should accept his resignation.
Put forth a motion to accept Ray Holden's resignation.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Okay, Highway Superintendent Kirk Woodcock has hired Tyler Sorrow into the vacant full-time MEO position at a base rate of $16.98 an hour. It was effective August 22nd. The town board should approve this new hire.
I'll put forth a motion to approve his hire.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Okay, last personal item has to do with our court. Councilman Land is requesting that our current court security officer, who is an independent contractor, be placed on the town's payroll and
Must be a
assigning...
town employee.
Yeah, as a town employee. And assigning him into the court security part-time competitive position, okay, with an hourly rate of $30 an hour, a minimum of 3 hours on each court night, and this would be effective immediately.
What's the benefits of that, moving from independent to,
Because he's retired and you don't want to get sued. Something ever happened, wrestle
I'm saying,
somebody.
what's the town getting, I mean, what's the town offering for this now?
I mean, he's not getting benefits. We're basically paying the
He's not getting no
FICA.
benefits.
No,
out of
I'm just
this.
curious if there was anything, he just wants to be on our insurance portion of it for
Yeah.
if he ever got sued. That's basically it.
Right.
Yeah, there's no really,
No, I
not
make
too
a
much of
motion
a
to
cost
accept
to the town
Second
for
it.
this. Okay, a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the last item has to do with LED lighting at Gavin Park. Just the other day, Kim Brock and John King is in the audience, sent me up some information. They had National Grid go out there and do an analysis and converting over all the lighting at Gavin Park to LED lighting. There is some grant money available out there. A few years ago, we did it here in our highway garage, and we've saved a lot of money by switching over to LED. The total project cost is about $37,000. However, there is grant money, which amounts to about $19,000, so the town's cost to do this is about $17,000. We will make up, if the town board decides to go ahead and go forward with this project, we would make that up over 20 months.
Wow.
One project is made up in 12 months, and the other two are made up over 20 months. So after 20 months, then we're saving money.
I'll make a motion, we go with the lightning for Gavin Park.
Second it.
I just need a budget transfer as well in this
What are you
motion.
looking for, how much?
I'm requesting a $12,000 because we have extra money in our electricity account at the parks because electricity is a lot lower this year. So I'm asking for $12,000 to come out of account number A1671.4 and move that into A7110.4. I'll give those numbers to Sue later.
Yeah, so John, you want to include that in your motion?
Yes, I will, the $12,000 and whatever numbers you used.
And I'll second that.
Hey, Art, just a question, Jeff. Have you tried contacting National Grid? They have a program
This is
out there.
National Grid.
They were going around doing a lot of the commercial places from garages and supermarkets. I'm just kind of...
I think this is National Grid. This is National Grid.
And they're paying for part of this whole thing.
Part of it, but some of them that they did, they funded 100%. So
100%.
That's what I was told by a couple places that had it done, so.
So we can certainly ask them, and we'll look into it.
I'm just passing on what, I know 2 places that had it done, and they said that they funded 100%, but maybe this doesn't meet that same criteria. I didn't know if you were aware of that, so.
I'll look into it, though.
Okay, if we don't have to spend the money, but it's approved, if for some reason they pay for it all. So we have a motion and a second with the budget transfers. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so moved. That's it, Jeff?
That's it for me.
Okay, that pretty much does conclude our agenda.
I have one more thing. Yes.
Yeah, I'm done.
Something that happened today. Somebody called me up.
Yeah.
I just want to let the town board know, this just happened today, that I got a phone call, like yesterday afternoon, I think it was, and there's a company within the town that's building a new structure. It's bonded concrete over on Ballard Road, and they had about 3,000 yards of crushed up concrete.
I actually was going to bring that up later on. That's what I wanted to
And he
session
called me and
for.
asked us if we wanted it, okay? Well, that's what we use for shoulders along the road and whatever. So we got that whole pile today, about 3,000 yards, Ryan, which is, and it's about $7, about $7 a ton that, that we brought into the highway department, and all we had to do just pay to haul it from the railroad tracks over here. Plus, there was a couple little small piles, I don't know how much was there, but enough for us to take it, of fill sand that we added to the...
All that pile came from today only?
Yes.
That was all done in one day?
Yes, yes. So, I mean, these guys worked really, really hard today, but we got that whole pile because I didn't know if they were going to call and invite somebody else to get it. So, and there was no connection with bonded concrete whatsoever. It's the same thing that I did with the stone dust out in the back when we did it from Paletti.
Oh.
They gave us that product to do to Gavin Park. We did half of that went to Gavin Park. And that was a big savings for Gavin Park.
I do have one question on that. If the town trucks backed into somebody on private property while they were collecting all this, what would that...
Kirk, you can't do nothing right. To save the town all that money.
Let's please, go ahead.
comes back.
I'm asking the attorney this. This has nothing to do with that. I'm asking the attorney if, because it was brought to my attention today. I'm not bringing this up, I'm bringing this up because it was brought to my attention. I didn't know if that had to be done out in an open meeting or if it could be done in an executive session. Art didn't know the answer to it.
What's the question again?
What is the question?
Trucks on private property.
There's a huge pile of dirt out there that came from a private property, I believe down the road, down
Lupin Lane.
Lupin Lane?
Yes, sir.
If something was to happen, would it be the owner of the property or would the town be on the hook?
In terms of somebody got injured?
Loading the trucks, I'm assuming, did we load them or did they?
We loaded them.
Oh, you loaded them with your own loader?
Yes, we did.
All right, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, we have insurance to cover any of that.
I thought they were loading our
The
truck.
only reason
I thought they were loading our truck.
We loaded our trucks, and John, the only reason, I just want to say something out in just a minute, we went to Paletti's and did 9,000 yards of material
No, I
at
know.
Paletti's.
I seen
And
the
we brought it
pile.
up here, and there was nothing said about it at that time, so why is there conversation about this deal here?
You're the
Except
one
I
that
know
brought it
I-
up, Kurt.
brought it up.
You're the one that brought it up. We were ready to close the meeting.
No, but there's a conversation about
Well,
it.
that's because there were so many phone calls going back.
All right, okay. You got something, Joanne?
I do have something, Art.
People taking pictures, oh my God. People
Okay.
walking around the town garage. Better do-
Hey. Joanne?
I do have an item here. I wrote it up because I have trouble public speaking. Our Assistant Assessor, Tina Weber, has been with the Assessment Office for 22 years. She's now successfully satisfied the qualification standards to become a state-certified candidate for assessor should a position open either here or anywhere else in New York State. A formal request must be made by the applicant to New York State to review all experience and course records. A cover letter may be included and signed by the town board where the applicant is currently employed, by a department head or a potential employer, but none of these is required. To show support of the candidate, it would make sense for the town board to sign this request for the state to review her qualifications. I'd like to put forth a motion that this town board support, by way of a cover letter, an official request to the state of New York on behalf of Tina Weber, asking for the applicant's qualifications to be reviewed.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Vote.
I'm ready. I have no discussion.
My discussion was on the reason why I'm not going to vote for it is I asked that Tina bring it to her supervisor first and look it over, and if for some reason there was some reason why she wouldn't sign it, and I'd like to know why it wouldn't be signed by her, and then I would sign it for her. If for some, if it was just payback that she was not signing, but I'm not going to vote to say yes to that.
Yeah, under discussion, my review of the tax and finance law is that this cover letter is intended to request for qualifications by the municipality that is seeking to employ a particular individual for that position. I certainly hope Tina has met the qualifications and will be certified, but I don't believe that a letter from us is not going to change the fact that she's either qualified or not qualified and met the educational requirements or not. So, my opinion, the letter isn't necessary. So, anyway, any other discussion?
Yeah, in my opinion, it may not be necessary, but it does look good. So I'd like to vote on it.
Let's vote on it.
So we have a motion, there's a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. The motion carries 3-2.
Thank you.
Is there any other business? Hearing none, motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.